Hey YouTube, how's it going? Today we're gonna go over a ultimate Hive of Gorgon DPS build. And we're gonna go over everything you need to know from the basics to the more advanced information. So starting off, the Hive of Gorgon is the new 10-man raid that just got introduced October 15th with the launch of Aeternum. If you're wondering the basic information, where is it? It is in Cutlass Keys right here where my guy is. You just walk on over to that boat. That misty area right there is how you're going to enter the raid. So now we're going to go over our gear. We're going to go over this build. The raid has been out now for about 3 days. And honestly, I've spent more time in this raid than anything else. So with that being said, this is coming from a player that has about 4,000 hours in the game. Someone who stayed on a legacy server to play the new content, has tried out the raid, and has the funds to make any build that I want. And this is what I ended up with. So let's dive into it, guys. For starter, I used the Azov Crystal Mask. It has Enchanted Ward, Refreshing locked on it. So any Azov Crystal named item is going to have those 2 perks locked on it. I put health on it. I put health on, I think, 2 items, maybe. And the reason why I did that is because we're in a light equip load. We're running low con. So with that, we don't want to get killed by one-shot mechanics. So I figured the thing that would give us the most benefit to this build is a little bit of extra health. And the armor artifact that we're using is going to be the featherweight. We put health on this. And actually, we'll go over where to get these items that I'm showing you. Starting off with Azov Crystal items right here, as you see. Basically, these Azov, they drop in light, medium, and heavy equip loads. Like this is a heavy one. You saw the one that I showed you was a light. But they all drop in the same location, which is any level 2 or more. So mutation 2 or 3. That's all you have to do. Any mutation 2 or 3 will drop Azov Crystal items. So that's how you get that. The featherweight, which is our armor artifact, is going to drop from near more, which is in Elysian Wild. As you see on the screen, you see the little red dot. That is where that name boss is. That is where you get it. The reason why I recommend this and ended up using this is because pretty simple. We're in a light equip load. This will give us the most survivability in this build. So as you see, to be in a light equip load, you have to be under 13 pounds. We are at 12.9. So this build is optimized. Again, this is coming from a player that has the funds, has the resources to make whatever I want. So we're at 12.9. It's optimized. The next piece is going to be Frigid Dawn. So we have 1 piece of Frigid Dawn, and what we have on it is Leeching Cyclone. Okay, I'm gonna go off on a little side tangent real quick before people start commenting in the comments on YouTube that I should be using Enfeebling Skewer. It was a hard decision to make. I decided not to use Enfeebling Skewer, and the reason I did that is because this is a 10-man raid. And you will see in a minute or two what this build specializes and why it's so good for the 10-man raid Hive of Gorgon. But it is a 10-man raid, and we're going to assign another player to do Enfeebling Skewer. So, again, we have Frigidon, which has Leeching Cyclone on it to keep us alive. We have another Azov Crystal Pants, but these are light too. The helmet's light, the pants are light. We have Fortifying Perforate. This will gain us a stack of Fortify, 10% per hit. You can hit 3 times. That's 30% more armor for 6 seconds. Another thing, before, if anyone wants to point out that I'm in light and Fortify isn't as useful as heavy, again, I sat here, I spent the time, I went through every possible option, and obviously 30% more armor, even in light, is going to be more useful than any type of conditioning perk, any health perk. I went through all because we're using the spear and hatchet. I went through all the hatchet perks, and this is where we're at. This is just simply the best thing that I found to use. So, and again, Azov Crystal Pants. I showed you guys how to get it. These are for the boots. Another pair of Azov Crystal named items. These are heavy though. Okay. So I believe we actually have 3 stacks of health. Because again, Azov, they all come with Enchanted Ward and Refreshing. Put health on it to try to save us from those one-hit mechanics. Let's see. Now we're going to go over the weapons and kind of give you guys the details of what this build specializes in. And before I do that, I'm going to break down my reasoning for this. So I have a few clears on the Worm 20-man raid, which is, I guess now, I don't know which, having experience in both raids, I don't even know which one I would say is more difficult, the Hive of Gorgon or the Worm. Both of them are going to be difficult, just as difficult with a uncoordinated group, and both are probably going to be easy with a very well coordinated synchronized group. So, but they're both the 2 hardest PvE content in the game. And with that being said, the thing that we learned as players in New World with the Worm raid is Rend is extremely important on bosses and enemies in these raids and trials. So we have a sword, which actually I picked up from the trade post for 10k. I was just looking to see what had Sondering Javelin on it, and I came across this gem. It costs a lot less for me to just buy this than to craft one single spear. I figured it was a win-win. So yes. So this build is a rending debuff machine. Okay. So it has Sondering Javelin. Javelin inflicts rend to target above 50% health, which does kind of suck because it's only, for half of the fight, but reduces target's armor by 40% for 10 seconds. That is a massive debuff. Massive. So you hit the boss or any, guy that your team is fighting, they have 40% less armor for 10 seconds. So, the sacrifice that this build makes to DPS will help out every other person that's putting damage into whatever we are fighting. And also, we have Trenchant Rend. So we have heavy melee attacks inflict rend for 7 seconds, reducing the target's armor by 16%. So that's a 7-second debuff. And 2 forms of rend, just on the spear, not including anything in the weapon tree. I think you guys understand, what I'm getting at, right? So then the weapon artifact is going to be the Sin Hatchet. So basically in this raid, I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, but also give you guys all the details that you need that I think is relevant, that'll help you guys. So during this Hive of Gorgon, basically it's extremely good to have some sort of range. You may not think of the hatchet and be like, oh, that's a ranged weapon, right? But it is. So we use this. So I did not put a gem setting pen on this hatchet. So we do not have a gem on here, but this buff, Defile, I think makes up for it in itself. Deal 2% more damage per debuff on target, max 10 stacks. So with 10 people hitting a boss, he's going to have 5 debuffs on him 100% of the time. So you're going to have 10% more damage, which, like I said, I think makes up for not having a gem, because the thing that we added to the Sin is the most important thing. If you don't have the Sin, and same with the spear, the perks that we went over, Sondering Javelin and Trenchant Rend, if you can get those 2 perks, those are going to be the most important perks to have on the spear. So if you don't have the funds or the resources to have completely Abyss, just keep in mind, and I'll actually go back and tell you same with the armor, right? So for this, the 2 most important perks is Sondering Javelin and Trenchant Rend. 3rd perk isn't that important. If you can't get the Sin Hatchet, the most important perk on here is going to be the Empowering Rending Throw. So ranged hatchet attacks deal 40% damage against rending throw targets. So basically, every time you do this, you're gonna get 40% more damage. It has refreshing move on it. So as you're doing your hatchet throws at the boss, you're going to be refreshing your abilities just by hitting them. Debuffs. See, this is the other reason why I picked the Sin, because debuffs last 20% longer, and it says right here, works on both weapons. So I'm telling you guys, when you do these debuffs that are on the spear, the Sondering Javelin and the Trenchant Rend, those debuffs last 20% longer from having the Sin. So to go back here and just go over the 2 most important perks, even though I kind of feel like in a light equip load, it is pretty important to have, as close as Abyss as possible, because you need everything that you can to stay alive, right? But Enchanted Ward and Refreshing is probably going to be the 2 most important perks. You might even be able to argue that Enchanted Ward and Health is, because Refreshing will allow you to do more damage, refreshing your abilities quicker, but Enchanted Ward and Health, I would say Enchanted Ward and then either one of the 2 perks, Refreshing or Health, if you can only get 2 perks on it. Featherweight, I can't tell you, certain perks to have, because you either have it or you don't, right? So yeah, the other thing is because when you're fighting a lot of these bosses in this raid, the big main bosses, sometimes a lot of times you can't be on the boss, so you're going to want to just sit there and just throw your hatchet. Find a safe spot, roll around a little bit, throw your hatchet. These enemies in the Hive of Gorgon are going to be Angry Earth, and therefore they are weak to slash damage. So the Sin is going to do more damage even with the throwing hatchet because they are weak to slash. We're going to use oh, hold on. So again, so this was a crafted spear because I need to tell you guys where to get things, right? The Sen, I will show you. Actually, I'm not sure if this was up when I was going over this. If it wasn't up, the Azov crystal armor drops from mutation level 2. The featherweight drops from near Myrrh right here in Elysian Wild at this boss. And then Frigid Dawn is going to drop from Glacial Tarn, and it has to be mutated. It doesn't have to be 2. It could be mutation 1. That's where you get the Frigid Dawn. For the Sen, the hatchet, it's going to drop from Colossus of Memnon and Brimstone Sand. I believe this is where the Wall World Tour is. Right where that red dot is. That's where that named enemy is. That's where you get the hatchet. Let's see. Should we just go over the other things we have pulled up? Let's see. What is this for? Okay. So we're also using the Endless Thirst. While I have this pulled up, just so I can minimize it, take it off the screen, I'm going to tell you now. We're using the Endless Thirst. This is dropped here. We're going to click this. Savage Divine. So to get the Endless Thirst, you need to do a mutation version of Savage Divine. It's an expedition. Let's take a look at this. The last thing I can show you, the Grasping Vines Heartrune is going to drop from Garden of Genesis. It does not have to be mutated, but that is where you get it. All right, so we're going to close out this menu, and we're going to go back into the game, and I'll go over things. So Grasping Vines, super, super important. There's a lot of DPS checks in the Hive of Gorgon. So with this whole Rend theme, what this does is inflicts Rend on hit, reducing target's armor by 20% for 5 seconds. Inflicts Weaken on hit, reduces target's damage by 20% for 8 seconds. So, you know, anytime there's enemies or bosses that you need to take out, pop this on them as often as you can. Everybody in the squad will do more damage. Everybody in the squad will appreciate it. The only thing on the build, I believe, that I have Constitution on, which will put us at 50 con, is going to be this amulet. This is a crafted amulet. The 2 most important perks are going to be Strike Protection and Health. The 3rd perk, I'm going to say honestly, is up to you. And honestly, this is one that you could probably get away with just having 2 perks. If it was 700 gear score with Strike Protection and Health, that's all you really need. 3rd perk is optional. Then this is a crafted ring. I tried to find a name item for this one, but I, you know, through my inventory, I couldn't find anything, so I crafted this. 2 most important perks. The most important perk on a ring, everybody knows this, is going to be Hardy. I put Keen Awareness on it because we're using 2 different damage types, Slash and Thrust. And even Cyclone that we have on our build is going to do strike damage. So we have a bunch of different damage types. So we're using Keen Awareness. We have a higher chance of landing critical damage with anything we do. So we have Hardy, Keen Awareness, And then we have leeching on it. I think this is pretty important part of the build. It might be one of the harder items to get because hold on one second. Because I couldn't find a named item for it. I'm sure there is, but Hardy and Keen Awareness are going to be the most important part. The artifact jewelry that we are using is going to be Endless Thirst. Healing consumables are 33% stronger, but have a 25% higher cooldown. The perk that we put on it is going to be regenerating. And yeah, that goes over all of that. The potions that I recommend having on your hotbar are going to be just an infused health potion. I recommend powerful oak flesh balm. Pop these when you can. And they're kind of expensive. My advice is if you can't afford, well, if you're doing this in-game content, you need to make sure that you have everything that you need for success, because if you don't come to the raid with everything you can bring to be successful, you know, you're either going to succeed as a team or you're going to fail as a team. And you don't want to be that person who cheaped out and, you know what I mean, potentially caused, you know, 9 other players to not be successful. So, but I recommend these powerful oak flesh balm, you know, and I just kind of not pop them randomly, but when I see chaos happening, just pop one. They last for 20 seconds. It could save your butt from damage that you don't know is coming yet. And then serums, regeneration serums are also expensive, but extremely necessary. As I stated before, Hive of Gorgon and the Sandworm are the 2 hardest contents in the game. Recommend having it. And then I have Artisan's Flatbread, which could be replaced with just regular hearty meals. Because I think you need crafting up to 200 or 250 in order to craft this. Next thing we're going to go over is going to be buffs that you need to apply before going into the Hive of Gorgon. So they are Angry Earth enemy types. So you are going to use a infused Angry Earth coating. It gives you 15% more damage against Angry Earth. It lasts 40 minutes. And then you're going to use infused Angry Earth Ward Potion, which increased damage absorption from Angry Earth by 10% for 40 minutes. Now, keep in mind, these buffs can be kind of expensive, but they're all very important. And in fact, I would recommend having 10 of each of these buffs that we're going over, because you're probably going to need them. Next thing is Powerful Honing Stone. Increases weapon damage by 7% for 40 minutes. You're going to be using the Artisan's Flatbread. If you can craft it, you cannot sell these. You cannot buy these. So if you can craft them, use them. If you can't, just use hearty meals. I am currently using banana bread. It does 44 attributes into strength. The highest you can currently do is 48. I find the banana bread to be the most reasonable price for 44 attributes. Just fine. Next thing is going to be Desert Sunrise. This reduces the duration of dots damage over time by 17.5%, 40 minutes. Very important. You take less damage, always a good thing. So pop one of those bad boys. And I think that covers it for that. I'll show you guys my attributes. We're running 50 con. There is a lot of kind of DPS checks in the Hive of Gorgon, so I don't recommend running any more than 50 con. I don't recommend running any less than 50 con. I found that 50 con is kind of the sweet spot. With the health on our amulet, the health perks on our armor, that puts us at a cool 11,170 health. We're going to be doing 350 strength. And as long as you get over 200 dex, we're at 211. Those are the attributes. And you guys can see the gems that I'm running. There's no, real special gems besides here on the spear, which you can see right there is Abyssal Retaliant. And this is the resistances it gives us right here. There's a lot of strike damage in this raid. This should give you what you need to get through it. Next, we're going to go over the skill trees. We'll start with the spear. Read these skills if you're unfamiliar with them to get an idea of how things synchronize together. We'll go over some basics. Berserker, all damage is increased by 20% for 12 seconds. You pop this, you throw your hatchets, you're doing 20% more damage. There's a lot of good buffs that you get within it. And then you're going to have Rending Throw, which is the other thing. We went over a lot of the rend that gets applied from the spear side. The hatchet also provides good utility with a decent amount of rend. This applies 20% rend for 10 seconds. This increases the duration of rend. And keep in mind, the reason why I'm making this YouTube video about this specific build designed the way that it is because if you're, a lot of people are going to be going into like pub groups, like just coordinating with people that are looking to do it also. And if people just have like DPS builds, just focusing on DPS, which I think a majority of people will, outside of the tank and outside of the healer, you're going to be providing something that people aren't necessarily even going to be seeing, which very, very likely could be the determining factor if you guys beat this or not. Because you're applying so much rend to allow everybody else to have success during this Hive of Gorgon run. It's very important, That's something that I learned myself from having a few clears in the Sandworm. Is rend on the boss is, if you don't have it, you're not going to beat it, right? It's, I can't even explain to you guys how important it is. So you get rend from the spear, you get rend from the hatchet. Like I said, just go through this, this infected throw applies disease and weaken. So just go through it, and that's why we went over earlier that the Sin Hatchet artifact increases debuffs. It's really important, really important, guys. All right, so we're gonna go over the combos next, what I recommend. So if you're ranged, you're gonna start off with throwing the Sondering Javelin. You're gonna switch over to your hatchet, pop Berserker, and just start throwing hatchets, right? And then just keep doing it until things come off cooldown. Throw the Javelin. So that's it. It's really that simple. So then if you are going to melee, if you're going to be in melee range, what I recommend is still open with the Sondering Javelin. Go in. That's going to put a, what was it, 40% rend on him. So you're going to penetrate 40% of his armor, of their armor. Right? So do that. And then you're going to go in. The Fortify and Perforate is going to give you Fortify. So that'll make you more tanky. And then the Cyclone is going to read right here. Cyclone hits heal you for 35% of weapon damage, max 3 targets. So just think about how this works, right? You're putting rend on them. You're making yourself more tanky. And then at this point, you're within melee range, right? Obviously. So if you're taking any type of damage, Cyclone, get the health back, you know? So those are the combos. Resistances, did we go over that? I'm not sure. I'll show you guys the resistances. I think we went over it. They're there on the screen. We take a lot of strike damage, therefore we have a lot of strike resistance. So yeah, guys, this is what I would consider the ultimate Hive of Gorgon build. Any group you get into is gonna love you for having the things you have on your build. So if you found this interesting, if you enjoyed watching this video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. This is coming from a perspective of a player who plays and streams this game almost every single day. I've focused since the drop of Aeternum on in-game content. So if you're enjoying, you know, videos like this, even if you're not at this point of the game yet, you know, you'll learn plenty of stuff watching these videos. And I plan on making more as I find stuff that is worthy of making a YouTube video on. The best way to support me though, guys, is go watch me on Twitch. I go live at Noble Duelist TTV. That is the best way to support me. If you ever have any questions, you just want to hang out with a good group of people that have a lot of experience in the game, you can get questions answered, you can hang out, you can see what we're up to. Nothing makes my day more than when I'm streaming and someone drops a new follow. They come in, they say, "Hey Noble, I just watched whatever video. It was so helpful. Thank you, man. Appreciate it." Which, you know, you don't have to come in and, you know, do all that. But, you know, just knowing that it helps someone out and they found their way to the stream makes my day every single time. So, yeah, guys, if you guys enjoyed the video, hopefully I see you on the next one. You guys have a wonderful day. See you on the next one. Peace.